Have you ever stood in the middle of your own life and felt utterly lost? Like the road you were on suddenly vanished, the map blew away in the wind, and you're left wondering, which way is forward, which way is home? I've been there. Many of you have been there. That hollow ache in the chest, that quiet whisper that says, does anybody even see me? Does anybody care? It's in those very moments when the night feels darkest and the silence feels loudest that something profound begins to stir. Because here's the truth I want you to carry with you today. When you feel most lost, you are never more found in the eyes of God. He cares about you, not in some distant theoretical way, not as one face in a crowd of billions. No, he cares about you personally, intimately, passionately. The God who spoke galaxies into existence bends low to whisper your name. And today, we're going to explore exactly why that changes everything. Here are the 4 keynotes we'll walk through together. Keynote number 1, feeling lost is not a sign of being forgotten. It's often the beginning of being found. Keynote number 2, God's care is not earned by our performance. It's rooted in his unchanging character. Keynote number 3, every detail of your life matters to him, even the ones that feel insignificant or painful. Keynote number 4, when you grasp how deeply God cares, you discover the strength to take the next step. And let's begin right where so many of us live, right in the middle of that disorienting fog we call feeling lost. Number 1, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk honestly about what it really means to feel lost. It's not just misplacing your keys or taking a wrong turn on the highway. No, feeling lost goes deeper than geography. It's that unsettling realization that the life you thought you were building somehow slipped through your fingers. It's waking up one morning and looking in the mirror and not recognizing the dreams in your own eyes anymore. It's working hard, showing up every day, doing what you're supposed to do, and still feeling like you're drifting without purpose or direction. It's the career that promised fulfillment but delivered exhaustion. It's the relationships that were meant to be lifelines but somehow became anchors pulling you under. It's the quiet moments at night when every achievement feels hollow and every tomorrow feels uncertain. I want you to know something important. Feeling lost is part of the human journey. It's not a flaw in your character. It's not evidence that you've taken too many wrong turns or that you've somehow disqualified yourself from a meaningful life. Some of the greatest men and women in history knew this wilderness season intimately. Moses spent 40 years tending sheep in the desert, wondering if his life would ever amount to more than wandering with a flock. David hid in caves, running for his life, anointed as king but living like a fugitive. Elijah, after one of the greatest victories in prophetic history, ran away in fear and asked God to let him die. Even Jesus himself spent 40 days in the wilderness, tempted and tested, before stepping fully into his purpose. Do you see the pattern? The wilderness is not wasted territory. Feeling lost is not the end of your story. It's often the precise place where God begins writing the best chapters. Why? Because when we're lost in our own strength, when our plans have crumbled and our wisdom has run dry, that's when we're finally quiet enough to hear his voice. That's when we're humble enough to follow his lead. That's when we're desperate enough to reach for his hand. Think about it this way. A shepherd doesn't wait until the sheep is safely in the fold to care about it. The moment one sheep wanders off, the shepherd notices. The moment one sheep is missing, the shepherd leaves the 99 and goes searching. That's the picture Jesus painted of God's heart toward us. When you're lost, you're not abandoned, you're being pursued. When you're wandering, you're not invisible, You're being tracked by a love that will not let you go. I remember a season in my own life when everything seemed to fall apart. The business I'd poured years into collapsed. Relationships that mattered deeply grew strained. My health took turns I never expected. And there were nights, many nights, when I sat alone and wondered if this was all there was, if this was how the story ended, if I'd somehow missed my moment or made too many mistakes to ever find my way again. But in those dark nights, something began to shift. Not because circumstances changed overnight, they didn't, but because I began to sense a presence that had been there all along, a quiet assurance that said, I see you. I know exactly where you are, and I am coming for you. That's the miracle of God's care. He doesn't wait for us to find our way back to Him. He comes looking for us exactly where we are. In the mess, in the confusion, in the pain, in the questions, in the doubts. He doesn't stand at the edge of the wilderness shouting instructions. He enters the wilderness with us. He walks through the valley beside us. He meets us in the cave where we're hiding and speaks gently to our fear. Feeling lost doesn't mean you're off track. It often means you're right where God can reach you most clearly. When we're certain of our own direction, we rarely look up. When we're confident in our own wisdom, we rarely listen for His. But when the path disappears and the stars seem hidden, that's when we become aware of the one who hung those stars and knows every path by heart. You see, God has never lost anyone who belonged to Him. Never. Not once. You might feel lost to yourself. You might feel lost to others. You might even feel lost to hope, but you have never, not for 1 second, been lost to God. He knows exactly where you are right now. He knows the fears you're carrying. He knows the dreams you've buried. He knows the pain you're trying to outrun. He's moving heaven and earth to reach you in this very moment. The psalmist said it this way, "Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. There is no place too high, too low, too far, or too hidden for God's reach." When you feel most lost, you are actually most positioned for a divine rescue. When you feel most forgotten, you are actually most remembered by the one whose thoughts towards you outnumber the grains of sand. So if you're here today carrying that weight of feeling lost, I want to speak directly to your heart. This is not the end. This is not permanent. This is not punishment. This is preparation. God is using this very season to draw you closer than you've ever been. He's stripping away the false securities you were leaning on so you can learn to lean fully on Him. He's quieting the noise of the world so you can finally hear the whisper of His love. He's allowing you to reach the end of yourself so you can discover the beginning of Him in ways you never imagined possible. The truth is, some of the most powerful stories of transformation begin with the words, "I was lost." The prodigal son came home. The woman at the well found living water. Peter walked on water after sinking. Paul met Jesus on a road he thought was leading somewhere else entirely. Time and time again, Scripture shows us that God's specialty is finding the lost and bringing them home. Not because they earned it, but because He loves them. And He loves you right now, exactly as you are. Not after you get it together, not after you figure things out, not after you clean yourself up or find your way back. Right now, in the middle of your lostness, God is saying your name with tenderness. He's moving people and circumstances and opportunities into place. He's preparing a table for you, even in the presence of your confusion. He's working behind the scenes in ways you cannot yet see. Feeling lost is not the evidence that God has forgotten you. It's the invitation to experience how deeply He remembers you. It's the doorway to discovering that his plans for you are still good, still sure, still filled with hope and a future. It's the sacred space where faith is forged and character is deepened and intimacy with God grows roots that can withstand any storm. So don't despise these seasons of disorientation. Don't rush past them in frantic searching for quick answers. Instead, learn to sit in them with open hands and an open heart, trusting that the God who sees you is the God who seeks you. The God who knows you is the God who pursues you. The God who loves you is the God who will never, ever let you go. Because when you belong to him, being lost is simply the prelude to being gloriously, miraculously, wonderfully found.